Hey everyone, it's Brave here again. Welcome back to my channel. If you like anything on my channel, please like, share, subscribe. Look through all the different videos. You might get something interesting that makes you smile, something that makes you think, something that helps encourage you or enlighten you. So yeah, but today I'll be talking about when we don't realize our blessings, or when we don't realize God is trying to help us, because we're in such a place of darkness that we don't believe there's any light. We're down so low, in this horrible space of pain and misery, that we don't think God can see us anymore. So that's mainly the topic I'm going to talk about. So an example I would give that I've noticed a lot of people do is when they're going through something horrible, or they're dealing with past pain. They're an adult, but they've got past pain from childhood abuse or things from the past. Adult relationships, divorces, and different partners they had who abused them in different ways, and then they've got away from the situation, but the psychological pain, they're still going through that. um if if God sees that you're suffering and you prayed for help, you prayed for, good people to come into your life, and then God sends a good person to cross your path, and then you decide to look at that new person and think, well, the last person who was nice to me ended up being a psychopath or a abuser, or or they robbed me, or they hurt my kids, or whatever happened. The trouble is, your past hurt is going to blind you from giving any good people a chance. Now, yes, it is a good idea to have your defense up. Don't It's better to have a protective shield around you, metaphorically, meaning boundaries. You don't just let any new person get your trust easily. You want to make sure you're not letting someone close to you who could then get too close and then hurt you. And you don't want any love you feel for a new person to blind you from their flaws or red flags and things like that. That is good that people are cautious and vigilant, because you don't want to be back in that past situation in a new situation. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, so I hope that was clear what I said before I started coughing. But yeah, so I totally understand that, because I feel that way sometimes, where I don't want to, just let anyone have my trust. I do find it really hard to trust anyone, and people get a bit offended when you say, I don't trust anyone, I don't trust anyone. They kind of feel like, well, what did I do to you? I didn't do anything to you. But I try and explain to them and say, don't take it personal, but I don't trust anyone, because that is how I'm going to protect myself from now on. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be nice to you, doesn't mean we can't have fun and go out and eat and go to the cinema and, go camping and bowling and, whatever. Um, but in my mind, I don't need to trust anyone. I don't need to like to have fun with you and laugh with you and joke with you and be friends with you, or let you get close to me. I don't need to trust you with my life for that. Obviously, if we're going to build a life together where you're going to live in my house, or you're going to be around my kids, or if we were going to have kids, that's different. Then I have to build a relationship with you where trust is paramount. I do have to be able to trust you with my life, knowing that if something came at me to hurt me, I want to know you would try and protect me, and vice versa, because I know I would jump in front of a bullet for you. Would you do the same for me? Not that I want anyone to be hurt, but I would like someone to at least feel that I would die to protect you, even though that's not what you're asking of them. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, the thing is, it's like, I remember in the past, an ex said to me, like, I don't trust you, I don't trust you. And we'd been together a long time, and I'd always been loyal and faithful and never did anything to make this person feel or know that they couldn't trust me. There was no reason for this person not to trust me. And it was definitely his own trauma with his mum. He hated his mum. You know, she lived in another country. He came over to the UK, so she was in New Zealand. And when he said, "Oh, I'm going to take you to meet my mum," I was like, "Why?" Because you said she's a monster and you hate her, and you know, she divorced your dad and he lost everything and he took his own life and because of her, and he blames her for everything. And I said, well, why are we going to meet her? Why is she coming, you know, to any wedding? Or like, I was always nervous to meet her, you know. And he was like, oh no, well, we have to meet each other's family if we're going to get married or whatever. And I was like, oh. So I was nervous because I mean, I don't even come from a good family. My family were dysfunctional maniacs and narcissists. But I mean, so I wasn't in a rush for him to meet my family. I was hoping he wouldn't want to meet them, but he met some of them. But then because they're narcissists, they put on the perfect face for him, and he's like, "Oh, they're not crazy," and I'm like, "No, that's the mask. You met the mask. You didn't meet the real them." Like I knew that fake mask was coming. You know, you should know like that family can put on a fake mask for strangers. You know. Anyway, but like so when I did go to New Zealand and meet her, and I spoke to her, and even though I know that narcs can pull the wool over your eyes, I would have seen through that because I grew up with narcissistic parents and family, and so I could see through any facade, you know, any fake mask that people trying to be overly nice and pretend they're perfect when you know they're not. So, and then when I looked through the mask and thought, okay, well, this lady clearly has trauma from the way that the husband was abusing her. So the father who took his own life, the father of my ex, her husband, he wasn't a great guy. He was an abusive, nasty guy who even eyed her during the marriage when she wasn't feeling well and didn't want to have, you know, intimate relations. And they're from an older generation, but by today's laws, that is a crime. You cannot force anyone, even if you're married to them or in a relationship. Everyone has the right to say no and not give consent or take away consent. So, you know, in those days, these things were happening and no one cared about the victims, you know, and it still happens now. Sadly, people don't care about victims of certain things, even if they're male or female, adult or child. There's a lot, you know, black or white, there's a lot of like denial of people's pain and trauma. And then there's the, okay, well, yes, you show proof they did it, but we don't care, or it's none of our business, or you deal with that. I don't want to get involved. You know, it's very strange. There's such a big lack of support and a lot of victim shaming or blaming. You know, well, you shouldn't have got drunk, should you? Oh, you shouldn't have walked around in short skirt. You know, well, what about the nuns who were odd? They're not wearing short skirts. What about, you know, a baby, or you know, small kids in other countries? Like, because I've heard in certain countries people were doing terrible things to babies. I mean, how evil and sick do you have to be to want to hurt a baby, you know, a child or anyone? But there are so many sick people out there. It is just unbelievable, just so disgusting, so disgraceful. Ugh, don't even want to talk about it. But yeah, so like I was saying, when I met her, and she could see I was a kind person. I'm an empath, so people just like to tell me their life story. And then she told me things, and I could see she wasn't lying. I could see she wasn't trying to use some narcissistic trick to just make me feel sorry for her. She really was a victim of the husband, but for some weird reason, because my narc ex-husband, the trauma he suffered from the dad taking his own life made his brain split. Like literally, he became like Jekyll and Hyde, a split personality, and became a malignant narcissist from that trauma because he was young when the dad took his own life. But then the mum told me quite a few private details and things which filled in the blanks. And then when I asked him about it, he was even like trying to say stick up for the bad actions of the dad, which is really sad to see, that he didn't have any sympathy for the mum. So that's how I made the connection that, oh, that's why he doesn't like women, he hates women because he hates his mum. So even when I come along, have done nothing to him, completely kind, completely nice, if I'd be caring and loving, he'd be like, stop acting like my mother. And I said, what? I've never met your mother. How would I know how to act like your mother? I don't even look like her. I don't even know her. It was really weird. He kept saying, oh, you're acting like my mother. And then when I met the mother, yeah, she was pleasant, and she would want to feed you and look after you, but that's how any caring person would do that. But it was like reminding him of her, and because he hated her, he was projecting. And that's the word I want to focus on. People project onto others the feelings they have towards people who have hurt them in their life. So sometimes it comes back to mothers or fathers, like how my dad abandoned us, but then he would come in and out of our lives with violence. And I didn't realize how much my relationships with men, because I'm a straight female, I didn't realize how my relationships with other straight males would be affected by how I hated my dad, or how I saw my dad, or how I saw men. Like, if I saw a man who like resembled my dad's people, it would annoy me. Like, it was in my mind that maybe they're going to act like him, even though that's irrational. Because there's good and bad in everyone. Doesn't matter what race they are. Doesn't matter what they look like. It's the content of their character. And if they don't have severe personality disorders or mental issues, then you look at their behavior, the behavior they're choosing to show. If they don't have good control over themselves, then obviously excuse me, oh, I got a weird throat today. Yeah, then obviously the way people treat you is how you should place them in your life. But then sadly, when you fall in love with people, it gets difficult, because then you don't want to let go of them. You want them to change for the better. You want to have that happily ever after, but at the same time, if the person can't change because of like what I said, mental issues or personality disorder issues, but it's like, it's still gonna be a problem, because they're never going to change, and then you're allowing yourself to be subjected to behavior that is not good for you, that is just destroying your happiness, your self-esteem, when all you want to do is love them and care for them and make them happy. And so that's really painful when someone uses your love and kindness against you. They punish you for being kind to them, they punish you for wanting to be there for them. And if they can't stop doing that because of, like I said, a personality disorder, or if they're doing it on purpose, if it's a controllable thing and they're just choosing to be a nasty, evil person because they enjoy it, then that, what are we supposed to get? What are the good people supposed to get out of that? So yeah, like I was saying earlier, in regards to people will, in regards to the fact that God will try and send people help, but they're expecting a man in a white, robe with long blonde hair to come down and save them, pick them up and fly away with them somewhere, when really it's not going to be like that. God will work through other people. So like, for instance, when I left my narc ex, and then unfortunately got involved with another person who I didn't realize was a narc. 1 second, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, oh my gosh. Oh, hold on. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm coughing and sneezing. I was cooking. I think there's some pepper in the air. What was I talking about? Yes, so unfortunately I had a gap after I left the first narc. There was a person I was with, but then we were more suited as friends, so then we became best friends. But then when this other person came into the picture a long while after, I was like, oh, this person seems harmless and kind, and you know, he looked the way I wanted him to look, and I have a thing about eyes. Like if you have really pretty brown eyes, I like eye shape, like kind of like like Keanu Reeves's eye shape, kind of. I don't know. Anyway, so yes, I was like, oh, look at his beautiful eyes, and you've got dark hair and tan skin, whatever. And so I really didn't think for a second that this person could hurt me, because he was putting on such a what do you call it, like a harmless, I'm here for you energy. Like he even said, like looked me dead in my eye and said, I don't know what your life was like before you met me, but I'm here now. I'm here for you. I'm going to save you from all that bad. And I burst into tears, and I was like, why am I crying? And it was because a child from a broken home, who is now a broken adult, who only just wanted to be loved and share love and receive love and give love and just have a normal life. When you come from dysfunction and cruel parents and cruel family and cruel community and idiots in school, you got to fight off bullies every day, then you got to fight off racism, then you got to sexism, whatever it is. I always had to fight. As a female, it's like you think that you would have males protecting you because you're a female. Sometimes I'd have to fight off males who had bad intentions or who were just abusers, and because I refused to let anyone hit me and get away with it, or abuse me and get away with it, it was always the feeling of, I have to get revenge now. You forced my hand. I have no choice but to say something nasty to you or do something nasty to you, or because I'm not going to let you get away with it. And even if I let you get away with a lot for a while because of the love I felt for you, it's like eventually I'm gonna fight back, whether it's verbally, physically, whatever. But not physically in the way that I go around hitting people. But if you hit me first, or if you, say something nasty to me, or, ignore me, try and make me feel worthless for no reason, I'm gonna call you out on it and make you feel bad the way you made me feel bad, That's just how it is. I can't tolerate crap behavior for a long time. Like, it's like, especially when the person knows they're taking the mick, they're pushing your boundaries over, stomping past your boundaries, they're testing you, they're testing to see, well, oh, you say you're going to be there for me forever and it's anything for me, and you care about me so much. I'm going to test this theory. You claim I can do anything, I can do no wrong, right? So I'm going to treat you like crap and see how many times you come back, or I'm going to, do something to you that's terrible that you should reject me for, but because I know you love me so much, or you care for me so much, or you want the best for me so much, that it's going to be painful for you to break away from me. But then in my opinion, in my thoughts, I'm like, well, why would you want me to hurt? Why would you want to take the risk of losing me? Why would you want me to reject you, get angry, and not even want to talk to you anymore? Why take the risk? Why not just enjoy the kindness and the support and the well-wishing? Why not just enjoy that? So that's stupid, isn't it? How people will, let silly ideas that, oh, if I ignore this person, they're going to get obsessed with me, and that's what I want. I want them to be so obsessed that they can't breathe without the thought of me. And it's like, no, I'm breathing pretty fine. I'm perfectly fine without you. I wanted you around, but I don't need you around. There's a difference. I don't need you to live. I don't need you to survive. I don't need you to work. I can do all these things I need to do in my life, take care of all my responsibilities, take care of all the people I've already been talking to and looking after. And it's not like I'm sitting here going, oh my God, when they're going to call, when they're going to call. It's not a fatal attraction or, is that Fatal Attraction, the film with Glenn Close, where she's like a bunny boiler? Like, I'm not boiling no one's bunny over a man. Like, I wouldn't want to invoke those feelings in another human being. Why would I want to hurt you that way? I want you to be happy. Like if we're friends and or if we have a weird sort of blurred relationship where you're kind of friends, but you might talk sexy sometimes, but it doesn't matter because you're not around each other that way in a girlfriend boyfriend way or a f buddy way or whatever, or situationship. It's not like that. It's just whatever. But it's like, why are you like, why would some men want to make someone who's trying to be their friend or trying to be just a cool confidant or whatever, why you got to make it awkward? Why you got to make it a competition? If you want to talk to other women, go and talk to other women. I want you to be happy. As long as they treat you well, I'm happy. If you went with some people who were treating you badly, I'd feel bad for you and I'd inform you that you deserve better than that treatment, but it wouldn't be out of jealousy, because what am I jealous of them for if they're an asshole? I'm a good person. I'm not going to be jealous of a bad person because I don't want to be them. What do they have that I want? Nothing, but yeah, so like I was saying before, uh, it's kind of weird how humans will not accept obvious support and help. Like I was saying, how God will speak through others. So if dealing with narcissistic abuse and then you come across a video that you didn't even know what narcissistic abuse was, and you watch YouTube all the time, and then out of the blue you get a recommended video of Professor Sam Vaknin, which is an actual real person, and he helps people heal from narcissistic abuse. He explains everything about how narcissists operate because he's a professor and he's really good. He helped me heal a lot from my past two devastating relationships. And so when God, like, in my opinion, that's God put those videos in my path. Like when I really was suffering and didn't want to be here anymore, didn't want to wake up the next day because of pain, the psychological pain, and physical stuff was so bad, and being arred by an ex who I cared about and trusted. Because I tried to leave him, he wanted to punish me, break my spirit, whatever, all that stuff. And then no one supporting me as well. That was a massive thing that made me think, why would I want to stay in this world when something this terrible could happen to you and no one gives a crap, and I'm a good person who have helped so many others. I would never ever not help someone who had gone through anything, let alone something so serious. But anyway, so when I was really, really like at rock bottom and in pain a few years ago, and then this video popped up, Sam Vaknin, narcissistic abuse, and I was like, I didn't type this in. Where did this come from? I don't even know what narcissistic abuse is. Is that like someone who's a bit self-centered? I thought it was like you're like a big head, you're big-headed, or you think you're so great, but it's not. It's a severe, serious personality disorder, almost like a mental health issue. It's very severe. One sec. Itchy nose now. I'm sneezing, coughing, itchy nose. Sorry. And then so I watched the video, and I was so shocked to see how everything he was describing about what a narc is, different types, the covert one, the malignant sadistic one, or the grandiose one, or the community one, and I was like, wow, this is like my parents and people in my family. Like, I never knew this. And sorry, one sec. Gosh, itchy nose. Yeah, so then when I started to watch all his videos, like, instead of focusing on the pain that felt like every hour of every day was agony, because all I could think about was the pain of the breakup, and why couldn't we have a normal life, and why do I still love this person who did these horrible things to me, or that put me through hell. Like, I want to get rid of this feeling, and I don't love them now, but at the time it was like overwhelming, trying to dissolve these feelings. It felt physically painful, the psychological and emotional turmoil and stress and pain you felt physically not well, like you're having a mental breakdown, or a nervous breakdown. It was really horrible, and I'm so glad I'm not in that space anymore. And when I look back, I don't even want to remember that version of me, because she was so sad and depressed and pathetic and on the floor crying and barely eating, not wanting to brush her hair, not wanting to do anything, not wanting to go anywhere. And it was so sad. And at the time, I just had no hope. It was just total despair. And now, when I've moved on from that a few years later, I think, oh my God, I can't believe that person made me feel so bad, and they reveled in that pain I was feeling. That's the sick thing about when people have a narcissistic personality disorder. It forces them to enjoy your pain. If they know jealousy is your weakness, they will triangulate, which is deliberately say things to make you jealous, deliberately get another person. Even if they're not even involved with that person, they will make you think they want to be involved with that person. Or they could literally be sitting next to you watching the TV, and some plain Jane woman will come up and he'll be like, oh, look at her. Wow. Oh, listen to her voice. Oh, I love her accent. Oh, I don't like you. Or, oh, look at you. Or, why can't you look like her? Why can't you be like her? And it sounds so stupid. Now, a strong person would just laugh and say, well, why don't you go and marry her then? Get out and laugh, or, or not even be bothered and just be like, whatever. But someone who genuinely loves the person and is self-conscious would feel inadequate, or it would chip away at their confidence, or even a confident person for a few seconds can question their worth, but then they'll come back to their senses and go, fuck. Sorry, I was gonna swear then. They'll be like, F you, bish, like, I don't need to listen to you, you're talking crap. So it's like, yeah, like I said, God will work through. It's like that saying that people say, God works in mysterious ways. It is like I said, the video for no reason appeared. I didn't type anything in about that subject. I never had used that word. I had to look up the word to make sure I was spelling it right. So it wasn't even like I'd ever looked up the word or wanted to hear videos about narcissists, didn't even know it was a real condition, and I remember like that saved me. And so I do believe, no, I know it's not just believing and guessing and thinking I think that was God. No, I know that was God, because if I didn't come across those videos, or he didn't put those videos for me to come across, I might have not have been here this long. Like, I mean, it's the truth. And so those videos gave me back reminded me to get up off that stupid floor, because I'm OCD. I don't even sit on the floor. So you could see how everything was breaking down, like down to just not caring. Like, I would never sit on the floor, and then suddenly I'm on the floor, propped up against the wall like a bag of potatoes, just crying. It's ridiculous, but it was like reminding me, get up and stop, wasting your tears and love and kindness on someone who doesn't deserve it. You are worth so much more. You are so special. Like, and that's what we have to tell ourselves when someone tries to convince you of a lie. Say, no, you're lying. I know I'm a good person. I don't need you to confirm it. I know that. I don't need you to tell me who I am. I know who I am. So you can lie and tell me you think this about me. I don't care. It's a lie. And you can believe it, or you can, just be trying to convince others of lies about me. I don't care. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a good person, and you're only saying these negative things because you're jealous of the fact that I'm a good person and you're not, And so yeah, it's very interesting how people won't realize that those things, like how I said the video being put in my path, are really there to save your life. These things that can happen, like when people say, oh, a miracle happened, or, like I was about to lose my house, and then some person, like I came across someone and they out of the blue donated this money to me, or, they overheard my issue and they came to my rescue, and they're a stranger. Why would they do that? That's because God was working through them, like, and also, like, the problem I find weird with humans is that when you've prayed for help for a long time and nothing happens, and then someone comes along and offers you help, like, imagine if I don't know, we'll use this example. So imagine if, you went out swimming uh at the beach, and then you start to get pulled out by the riptides, or you can't get back to shore, and then someone spots you and they send, the Coast Guard out, or the lifeguards on the boat, whatever, and they come out to you and they're like, here, take the, the dinghy, the ring, or for the life ring, whatever you call it, the orange thing, the floaty thing, whatever. Take the thing and we'll pull you in and save you. And then you be like, no, I'm praying to God to save me. I've already prayed. I'm waiting for him to come and save me. And he'll be like, no, we're here to save you. Just get in the boat. Hold the thing and we'll get you in the boat. And you're like, no, I'm good. I'm gonna, I'm a Christian. I'm gonna pray, or I'm whatever religion. I'm gonna pray and God will save me. You know, if you look at that example, why did that person not see that God worked through the Coast Guard to come and find you and save you? And then that person's going to go up to heaven, or, well, we call it heaven, but the spirit world does exist, the spirit plane. It's just, I say heaven because that's the easiest word to use. But it doesn't matter what religion you are. And religion doesn't matter. When you die and go home to our true home in the spirit world, black, white, Muslim, Jew, Christian, it doesn't matter. You're just a energetic being of love and light. When you get up there, you'll still be you, but you'll be the best version of you without a body, just energy. You'll have energetic body, but you know but if you look at my other videos and listen, you'll understand what I'm talking about and go into better detail about that, why we don't die after we leave this earth, because we came from our true home, which is the spirit world, down to this low vibrational, horrible, scummy world to learn hard lessons. This world is like a horrible assault course for the soul. But when we die, we go back home to where we originally are from, which is the spirit world, where God and angels and Jesus and everyone exists. So yeah, so even look up like near-death experiences on YouTube, and people talk about it as well, and it is real. And if you look in my other videos, I'll explain how I know all this. So so that person would rather, drown terribly, in a horrible way, because I would say drowning or burning, or those two are some of the worst deaths, because it's like you're aware you're dying, you're in pain while you're dying. I don't know if anyone's ever, like, a bit of food got dislodged in your throat and you realize that, oh my gosh, I'm not sure if I can breathe, and you're trying to breathe, but your nose is feeling like you can't get the air in. You start to panic. It's horrible, isn't it? But anyway, so yeah, just trying to think. Yeah, so there's been times like that like that example, and times I've been aware of people I've known who literally prayed for help. The help came through someone else, through another human who they didn't even know, but the help was sent to them. Like, through God worked through someone else, and they still didn't accept it for some weird reason, and that is the fault of the human. It's like, if that person who I just, used in the example, who wouldn't take the life ring and get in the boat and be saved, they might go up to the spirit world, ask God, why didn't you save me? I'm dead now. I drowned. Did you not see me or hear my prayers? And it's like, I did save you. I tried. I sent the Coast Guard to find you. You know, how do you think they found you in the middle of the sea? But yeah, it's kind of strange. And then there's this beautiful poem called Footsteps. I should find it and read it on here. I don't know if anyone knows it, but it's like, how does it go? Basically, what it's saying is a person walked on the beach, seeing their life review at the end of their life, and they're being shown all the parts of their life. And then they noticed that there was, in the worst part of their life, when the most tragic or awful things happened to them, there was only one set of footprints in the sand. But when all the other things happened, there were two sets of footprints, meaning Jesus and the person's footprints. So the person asked Jesus or God, I have to check the poem again, but he asked him, Lord, why, when I was going through the worst points in my life, why weren't you there? And he said, my child, I was there. That's when I carried you. And see, I got goosebumps when I said that. I got real goosebumps when I said that. Because it's true. When we go through terrible, terrible things that we think will kill us, the pain is so much, or the memories are so much, or even when you get out of that terrible situation, you just don't know how you're going to go on. If you lose someone you love, you don't know how you're going to go on without them. It's painful, it's horrible. Even if you didn't always get on and things were difficult, you didn't want to lose them in a terrible way. You hope there would come a time when you make amends. Then you feel like there's no way we can ever have that happiness or that making amends. But for anyone who's lost anyone, I'm so sorry for your loss. And for anyone who's gone through any abuse, I am so sorry you had to go through that. But when we die, our souls do go to the spirit world. So all those good souls who passed away in terrible ways, all our family, all our loved ones, we will see them again, so don't fear. It is painful and the grief is overwhelming when we're down here, but we will definitely see them again. And death is not eternal. Your soul is eternal. It's infinite. We're infinite beings of light, and we will return home where none of that pain we felt here will exist. None of that darkness that clouds our heart will exist. So please look through my other videos. I speak more clearly about this, and there's some beautiful songs and poems and stuff that talk about the spirit world as well. So definitely check out my other videos, just because I want to offer comfort, and I hope those videos can help people feel a little less pain, knowing that we will see our loved ones again, and all that pain and sadness that was down here with us, it won't be there. We'll just be in a beautiful space of love and light and happiness up there. So yes, but so when like I said, when we think we're at rock bottom and we can't go on, there are moments where you think God isn't with you, right? Like, I've had a couple of those moments. I'll say one now. I was in Jamaica, and because I mixed ancestry, so I've got some Jamaican family, Scottish, Irish, Scandinavian, all sorts of people, but I'm closer to the Jamaicans. So those are the ones I grew up with in England, because we got tons of different communities here, tons of different racial groups, all living in the same neighbourhoods in London, growing up side by side. We don't always get on, but it's very multicultural. It's not like most countries where everyone's separate and segregated. It's sort of anyone can live anywhere. So so I go on holiday, and it was more like going to check out tourist parts, because obviously when I go there I would stay with family, but this time we were like, hey, let's check out the tourist bit and hang out and have a cocktail or whatever. So then, for some weird reason though, my disabled brother started acting really strange, and he had mental issues from brain damage and epilepsy and stuff. So out of the blue he just starts acting really violent, really violent, for no reason. Like I said something silly, like he pronounced something wrong, or he said a price wrong, like the, I don't know, maybe he said like the conversion of the money wrong. And at the time I was a teenager, so he was older than me, but because of his disability he mentally was very young. And he always had violent outbursts, but it was like, usually it was rare, you know, it was usually in the house and it wasn't usually in public. But then out of the blue, like maybe I said like, oh my god, that's wrong, what are you, stupid? Like, you know, being a dumb teenager, I just, you don't always think of people's feelings, you know. So I just was like, oh, I can't believe he said it so wrong, because he wasn't so disabled that he couldn't work out simple things, and it was a simple thing that I knew he probably could have worked it out better. And so in my mind I was like, oh my god, it's so easy, why are you saying it wrong? So I think because of the heat, it was really hot, and it was like you felt like you were going to have heat stroke, it was so hot, and I'm not used to the heat. um you know, in London we have heat waves sometimes and people can't handle it, but we usually it's raining or cold, or you know, so we got a good line of winter jackets all the time in our houses. Anyway, so then yeah, so then out, and he spun round like he wanted to hit me, and I kind of stopped, like shocked, like, really, you want to hit me because of that silly comment? So then I laughed at him like, well, go on then, you're gonna hit me because I'll hit you back, because even though he's disabled he's much bigger than me, and you know. So then, but then he looked serious, like he had this really deranged look in his eyes, and I thought, oh, I've never seen that look before. And then my mum saw it too, and she was like, oh, you know, she's calling him by his name, and she's saying, look at me, calm down please, you need to calm down, we're in public. And then he literally grabbed her by the neck, threw her down like a nutcase, and that really triggered me, because I was angry that he just threw our mum down, even though she was a terrible mum and a cruel, sadistic narcissist. She's diagnosed with malignant, sadistic, narcissistic personality disorder, and my dad as well, same thing. But I still wanted to protect her, because even though I was a child of abuse, it's like you still unfortunately have that protective energy over your family, even though they're bad people. So it's really, I'm not laughing, by the way, when I make that sound, it's just the way I talk. So yeah, but yeah, so then that triggered me, so I'm going towards her to pick her up, but then he's trying to grab at me, so I'm like backing up like, what the? And I was like, don't you dare touch me, because now I will fight you. Now I've seen you throw down an old woman, you know, even though she was my horrible mum, but all I saw is you just threw down a defenseless old woman, you know. And so now I was upset, so now I called some people over, like a security from a hotel, and said, can you pick her up please, can you help her, because I'm thinking I have to square up with him. But I'm thinking, well, I might lose this fight, and I didn't want to hurt him, but he clearly wanted to hurt us, so it was getting a bit scary now. So then I was ready to square up, and then so then the security, so then he's starting to come towards me, and I'm thinking, well, if I hit him, he's disabled, I'm going to get arrested, you know. So then I started to back down, because I thought, well, I don't really want to hit him, but I don't know how to calm him down. So I'm trying to talk and calm him down, but I'm backing away. But but then he picked something up, like he picked up like a bottle or something, like that was empty, like a glass bottle, and was like he wanted to swing it at me. It wasn't broken, but it was. And then I was really annoyed, like, what is going on? No, it was like he came across like he was possessed. It was really creepy, and his eyes looked deranged. We'd never seen him look that way before, and so we were concerned, like, is he having a mental, if like, because he's got the mental issue, is his medication too high, too low, you know, what's going on? So then the security got in front of us and took the bottle and, you know, restrained him. And then I was just furious because we were meant to be on this holiday for another 2 weeks in the same room. And I was like, oh, I can't be in the room with this nutcase. Like, I was so distraught that I was going to have to be in the same room as this person. Like, not the same room, I mean the same apartment. Sorry, me and my mum shared a room, single beds, two single beds. He had his own room, I meant, sorry. We had an apartment thing in these apartment hotel type place. And then so when they managed to get hold of him and then take him into the hotel, and I was just absolutely furious. So now I'm in in a country I'm not from. My people are from there, part of my people are from there, but I don't live there. And it's a very dangerous thing for tourists, because technically I'm a tourist, right? Because that wasn't the part where my family grew up. My family are from Kingston, Jamaica, where it's like the ghetto is really scary, and you have to always walk with caution and walk with someone who's from there, or you'll get mugged and robbed immediately, sometimes killed. Even if they rob you, they'll kill you, some people, because they're so cruel to each other. So and there's a lot of jealousy over, like, oh, you think you're better than us because you came from another country. Even though my family are from there, I have family from there, I have the right to walk that land, you know. Oh, excuse me. And then so when I saw them take him back into the hotel, then I go and check on my mum, and I said, he cannot live with us anymore. He needs to be in his own flat or apartment where they have like medical staff who can help him, or if you do get him his own flat, you can check on him every day, but he cannot live with us. Look how he literally threw you across the street. Like, what kind of, he could have thrown you in front of a car. It was like the Incredible Hulk. It was all of a sudden like, what is wrong with him? And she was like, no, it's fine. I said, no, it's not fine. So I was furious that she didn't seem worried about his behavior, but yet she wouldn't forgive me if I'd done that. I'd been helping her my whole life, and she was always, it was never enough. I was never good enough for her. It didn't matter what I did for her. Give her money, get her a house, get her a car, get her clothes, get her anything she wanted. It was never good enough. It was never good enough. But that was because she was jealous that I could make something out of nothing. Even as a teenager, I acquired more for myself and for her than she ever did for us as a mum. So it was jealousy, really. And so when I had the argument with my mum, just saying, like, he is not coming back to the UK. Obviously he's got to come back to UK with us, but he cannot live with us anymore. At the time I was a teenager, but I was about 18 and I was still at home, but because it was really expensive to leave and just rent your own place, and I didn't want to share with strangers in a house share. And so I just remember she was like, no, I'll kick you out before I kick him out. And that really broke my heart, to know that she would really care about everyone in the world except me, kick me out on the street when I'm the one helping her. When she had the threat of being homeless, like later on when I was an adult and she had the threat of being homeless, I was the one that saved her. I was the one that got an injunction to make sure bailiffs couldn't go in her house. I was the one that stood in front of her door and physically barred up the door to make sure bailiffs couldn't push past me. And then when they were trying to be physical, I was the one who had to push them back and say, you can't go through me. And I'm a female, but I have to always be sticking up for everyone else, physically, verbally, always protecting everyone. And yet I, at the drop of a hat, will be discarded when I'm a good person. So that really pissed me off, So then I was furious, heartbroken. So I just walked off in a huff. Didn't know where I was going, just walked off into this park, or this sort of jungly forest thing they called a park. Like we wouldn't call that a park in England. In England, that is a forest. That is a wild, but this is a tropical forest, so I guess you would call it the jungle, because there's no animals like in there, no like snakes or anything, or at least I don't think there were. If there were snakes, I don't know. But it was like a park, but people, they made some they put some picnic tables in the jungle basically, and then they made a little turtle park in the jungle. So what I call a jungle, they called a park, and so I just walked into this area where just locals are sitting around drinking, smoking weed, hanging out, and they could be dangerous people. I don't know them. So then I've just walked off from the hotel, but it's only across the road. But I didn't know where I was going, and they told us, do not leave the hotel, do not wander away. Like, so even though it seems like it's just across the road, I've gone deep into this jungle now, just furiously walking through, and then I come across a kind of, I guess, a toilet hut thing, it was a wooden cabin thing, but it only had just one toilet. And I go in the toilet and I start crying, and I'm furious and angry. And I just started saying, God, why have you forsaken me? Why did I have to have this life and these family members? I don't understand. Did you hear what she said? She would throw me out before she threw him out. Like, what? Why do I have to keep going through this? I already suffered so much before that point, up until 18, and I really, really wanted it to end. Like, I felt like, just take me now. I don't want to live anymore. I'm so sick of this pain. Every day is pain from family, from all the abusiveness. The other ones get away with being abusive, but they're forgiven. I'm not being abusive. I'm being mistreated. It was really hard. So then I'm crying and really feeling like God's not hearing my prayer. God doesn't care about me. God's forsaken me. That's what I'm saying in my head. And I'm just saying, I wish I could just jump off a cliff. I was just so distraught. So then that's why I'm just walking around these dangerous areas, because I was like, you know what, just kill me. I don't care about my life anymore. That's how I felt. So that's why I'm just wandering in this bloody jungle with a ton of, people around me staring like, what's this tourist doing walking in our area, in our dangerous area? But because I wanted them to take me out, I didn't care. So then I'm walking through, I come out of the toilet, I'm walking through, and I literally go and sit next to this big tree on the ground, which I never would normally do because I'm OCD. So I'm sitting on the ground with the bugs and crap, fucking, sorry to swear, I mean, bloody ants nipping my toes, because there was so I got up and moved because there was like some weird red ants or something on the floor, and I was like, what the? And they were like grabbing me. It felt really bad, like when they sting you, these ants. And I was like, even the ants are violent here. What the hell? So I remember getting up and walking to another tree that had like better, not so dirty, not so much dirt. It was more grass. And then I sat under the tree because it was so hot, and I just put my head in my hands and started crying. Not loudly, but just everyone could see that I just had my head in my hands and I didn't care. And then I know God sent this lady. I know God worked through this lady to come and let me know he didn't want me to just get hurt, because this lady out of nowhere, like a church lady in like a church hat. When I say a church hat, I mean like in the Caribbean, it's kind of like a hat you'd wear to a wedding, but all the Jamaican women wear like big hats to church and stuff. So a lady comes over and she's talking in patois, so I can talk patois. And it's basically broken English. So most people don't understand it, but I could understand it because I've been grown up hearing it my whole life, and I can speak it, just not in a very strong accent, but I can understand everything. I can reply in the accent if I have to mimic it. So then she's just is saying basically like, it's not safe for you to just sit here crying like this. Please come with me. Now, she could have been one of the bad ones, but I just knew that it was almost like God's trying to say, he's coming through this lady because I'm saying that, clearly you don't exist, or clearly you don't care about me, and let them take me. I want them to take me, I don't care if they rob me or kill me, let them, I don't care, And so then when I looked up through my tears and saw her face, it's like I knew I was safe with her. And so I just said, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have come in here. And she was like, no, it's just you're really not safe. And I heard people talking like, what's she doing there? Or why is this tourist in here? Is she alone? And I didn't have any valuables on me, but people have bad intentions. And so yeah, so she took me back. She said, "Where are you? Where are you staying? Where are you staying?" And I said, "Oh, down there. I don't even know the way back because I just wandered into this thing." And she said, "Oh, I know where it is. Don't worry." And she took me back to the hotel, and she sat with me in the reception. Then she just said, "You know what happened? Why were you just wandering off like that? It's really can be dangerous here. Like." It's not a joke. And I was like, no, I knew it was dangerous to walk in there. I think I wanted something to happen to me. I didn't want to go home and resume all the abuse and the misery. And I just, part of me felt like I didn't care. And she was like, oh, and then I told her what happened. And she was like, and then she was just such a good person. And then to see, it was almost like to see the example of a good mum, of what a mum should be, because she had two girls, and funnily her daughter had the same birthday as me, which made me laugh, and we were so similar, and it was really nice. And so then I remember I brought her and her family back to the hotel, and I bought them food, and we were just talking and stuff, and it was really, yeah, it really saved my life. I feel like if God didn't send that lady to come and save me and let me know that, this isn't what I want for you. I don't want you to uh, cut your journey short or let something bad happen to you. There's so much more you need to do, or that you're supposed to do here. And in between that, like after that time, like I have helped so many people, and I've still gone through terrible things. Yes, it's been hard. The walk has been hard, and I'm sure it will still be hard. But I can see now why, certain things have happened. It made me stronger. It put me to cross paths with other people who needed my strength, who needed me to lend them my strength and encourage them and support them. And and I've come across people who have helped me. There's been people who helped me and they didn't even realize that the part they played in my life, good or bad, helped me somehow, even though it was a painful interaction. Somehow I gained more power after that. And yeah, it's really strange. It's like, if you consider destiny or fate, if our life really is chosen by us and we write every part of it, even the suffering parts, even the most painful, awful parts, if we write all those parts in order to learn, and apparently the people who were our enemies in this life, we all agreed before we came here in the spirit world that you're going to play the person who hurt me, you're going to play my terrible mum, okay, you're going to play this person who helped me, and you're going to be the one who saved me from this. And and when it's like, these are the things that I've been shown that happen. It's hard to believe. Even I find it so hard to believe, that why would I pick to suffer this way? Why? And it makes me angry sometimes. Like, no, I'm angry. If I did pick this life, what kind of idiot am I to pick this life? Why? And sometimes I'm still angry about it, even though I know for a fact that there is a spirit world that we came from. I know for a fact that there are certain things we picked, but it still hurts. It still hurts to think that, what, I picked the worst thing that could ever happen to me. I picked that. Why would I pick that? And if you look in my other videos, there's more explanations about that. There's more. There's links in my community page bit to near-death experience stories where they explain why we pick suffering in our lives. It's all to do with learning lessons. It's all to do with soul evolution. You want your soul to evolve and ascend quicker in the spirit world, so you choose. If you're a very brave soul, you would look down and see all the suffering on earth, and when you're up there in that strong, loving body, spirit body, you don't feel or know how that's going to feel. You just know you're brave, and you look down there and go, yeah, I can handle that. Oh, okay. Oh, my dad's going to beat me for 7 years. I can handle that, because I'm going to be strong at the end of it, right? Or, oh, I'm going to go and, help this domestic violence group, and I'm going to talk about my story, and it's going to help these other people. Okay, yeah, I can do that. It's also matter of fact. That's what, and I'm not laughing, that's just the way I talk. But it's mind-blowing to me that when they're up in the spirit world and everyone's like, yeah, that's fine. Oh, I'm gonna be abused for 10 years. Okay, okay, write that in. Oh, okay, I see why that's gonna happen to me. Oh, I'm gonna lose my leg. Oh, but something. But because of that, this good thing is gonna happen, and I'm gonna evolve so much quicker because I went through that awful, awful thing. Oh wait, I'm gonna lose my child when I'm down there. Oh, okay, but because of that, this helps other parents because I'm going to start a grief support group, which is then going to give other parents a way to heal. Oh, okay. So I see how that equals that, creates that, and the ripples of good. Okay, I see it. So up there, when we're looking at these life plans, it's so matter of fact. It all makes sense. But when we're down here, we get squashed down to the lowest vibration, which is Earth. Well, I don't think it's the lowest, but it's a low, low, low vibration compared to where our home comes from. I think that's why most of my life I always felt like I was yearning for home and I didn't know where home was because I used to move around. I used to think London was my home because that's where I was born, but then I never felt at home. And I used to think it was because of racism or because my parents were so, from a mixed family and people not liking you or whatever. And so I had to fight back against a lot of inequality and unfairness. And I'd always stick up for everyone and make sure we fought for, equal treatment in many different situations. And it's like I knew though that this wasn't my home. I couldn't explain how I knew. I just knew because it didn't matter where I moved in London. I never felt at home. I could be in a Jamaican area where there's mainly Jamaicans. I didn't feel at home. I go in an area where it's mainly the other people in my family. I didn't feel at home. I could go to somewhere that should be comforting and kind, and it never feel at home anywhere. And then I realized that because this is not your home, that's why you're yearning to go home to that true spirit world where we were happy, where everything was great, and then even though we chose to come down to this earth plane to learn these harsh, harsh, horrible lessons, because once we complete these things, if we can learn, like say if I think that my lesson that I chose to come here and learn was to forgive terrible betrayal, because I've had so much betrayal in my life. I don't see how any one person can have this much betrayal. Men, women, children, any black, white, everyone betrays me. Doesn't matter how much I help them, doesn't matter what I've done for them. I could never, even when I've never done nothing to them, people go out of their way to betray me. But if that's the role they chose and I agreed to it, they have to play that role. It's painful and it's horrible and I don't like it. But if we were souls who knew each other up in the spirit world and they said, if we like best friends up in the spirit world and they said, because I'm your best friend here, I'm going to come down and I'm going to play this role for you down in down on earth so that you can then evolve. So in a freaky, messed up way, it's almost like they were like, I'm going to do this for you so you can get past your test. But then they're choosing to play the villain, you know? So on this plane, in this earth plane, you're hating them. They're your enemy. They're your nemesis. They're the villain. But then when you get home, and you get all your memories back, and then you'll be like, oh, hey, you. Yeah, thanks for helping me pass my test down on earth. It sounds messed up and crazy as hell, but it's like if you listen to all these near-death experience videos and all the stuff I've been shown through my psychic gift, parts of it weirdly make sense, but it still doesn't take away the pain and the trauma and the horribleness that this world is. But it's created that way or made that way for us to suffer through. It's so weird. It's like you have to go through it to get through it, if you know what I mean. So It's like, I don't know if people say this in other countries, but, and I'm not laughing at anyone suffering or pain, no way. It's just the way I talk. But it just popped into my head that there were game shows, I think. That's why I laughed, because I was thinking of a game show from like 70s or 80s or something, and they used to go, in it to win it, in it to win it. You got to be in it to win it, like that. And that's why I laughed, because it popped into my head like, in it to win it. And it's like, that's true. You can't win it, as in pass your test, unless you're in it, the game, or the life, which is, the terrible assault course, of your soul, to go through this terrible pain and suffering. But then it's like, it's so strange, because that lady who helped me in Jamaica, she kept asking me to come back. And I didn't want to hurt her feelings, but in my mind, I'm like, hell no, I will never come back. Like, I was so adamant that I would never go back to that place, even though the lifetime I've chosen, this body and this person, even though I am me within the body, but this identity, brave me, her ancestors, her world, her people, half of her people, whatever, because I'm multiracial, so I've got like 4 different groups of races in me. It's weird. But I have lots of rich heritage. Well, this body, this person, the life I've chose, whatever, she has a lot of ancestry. And so it was weird to me, like, how I was like, oh, I'm not turning my back on the people that belong to me, but I can't come back here. So it kind of would annoy me when she'd always be writing to me and calling me, oh, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? And I was thinking, oh, lady, never, ever, ever. But then I felt bad, like, because, part of me felt like she saved me. Who knows what would have happened if God didn't work through her to come and save me, And but then if that was all fated to happen, that was all meant to happen, it's painful, it's horrible, I don't like it. And I fear a little bit of what on earth is going to happen next. Like, I'm at this point in my life where I'm like, okay, I've accepted that I don't belong to this planet. I'm my spiritual home is somewhere else, and I can't, in my mind, I can't wait to go home. Which people say, what do you mean you can't wait to die? I don't see it as dying, because that will be me being alive, going home, leaving this horrible place. So I'm not telling anyone to take their own life, because you will go home to a better place and be the true you. But at the same time, I don't fear death at all. And that only happened like a year ago, perhaps, where I genuinely did not fear death. Like, if I saw someone hop the pavement, like drive their car onto the pavement and start speeding towards me, I wouldn't move. If I would say, if it is meant to be, let it be. If I'm supposed to be taken right now, let it take me. I don't care. But if I felt that I should jump out of the way, then that must be fated, that, oh, I'm supposed to avoid this accident, this was not my time. But if I was taken, killed by the accident or the whatever, then I would go to spirit world, go home, and they would let me know if I have to come back because it wasn't my time, or if it was my time, I'd have a life review and everything would be shown to me. And then I guess you'd be given the option, do you want to come back and do another life? Do you want to stay home? But another thing I was made aware of was that sometimes if you don't pass the tests that you agreed to in the first place, like how mine I think is forgiveness, because I find it so hard to forgive when people are nasty to me for no reason, or abuse me or hurt me. It's so hard to forgive. It's like, why should I? I was so good to you, so kind to you, and you spit it all back in my face and you laughed at my pain. F you, why should I forgive you? But it's like, so I'm worried that I'm probably going to not pass that test, which really annoys me because I don't want to come back here. But when you do come here, you don't remember all these memories of your past, of your home or your past lives and things. You can access those memories through, some people do, is it past life regression, which I have done. And I will talk about some of my past life regressions, what I saw and how it related to my life now. And it was helpful. It showed me how many, 3 or 4 of my past lives. And weirdly, people who were family members now, different family members in my life now, who treat me in almost identical ways, it showed me that I didn't learn the lesson in that life. So then I came back into this life, and then the same, well, similar events happen to trigger my response, similar betrayals or whatever, severe betrayals, pain, abuse from people you trusted. And then I couldn't forgive again. So then I don't know if I wouldn't say I'm forced to come back, but it's like, this is what you agreed to. This, you agreed that if you didn't pass the test, you would come back again, so it's like there might be gaps, big gaps. Like one time, for instance, one of the past lives I was showing was in Roman times. Then the huge gap between Roman times and the next one, because the next one was like in what looked like the 1930s. And I was like, what on earth? How could I have been like, I laughed, like, what, am I my own grandmother? How am I alive? How could I possibly be in a woman in the 1930s and then now I'm in this century? What? Like, it was so confusing. but these things exist. You can be simultaneously, there's like a multiverse. Like, people don't even know. People think it's a joke, but interdimensional beings exist. When people are like, aliens don't exist, no, there are different interdimensional beings. There are very, very bad ones, and there are very, very good ones. What do you think the bad things are that people are aware of, on the spirit side, that are in the lowest vibrations? There are bad things out there, but there are also good things. So yeah, there's so much that we don't know, and that people just fob off as crazy, stuff. But if you've seen it and you have psychic gifts and you're aware that these things are real, then you see things differently, I guess. But yeah. So what was I going to say? Yeah, there was also something else I wanted to say. Yeah. So mainly, my final point is just praying for help is not enough. You have to be proactive as well. So, like, for instance, when I was in my rubbish marriage, I knew from the second year in I didn't want to be there. I knew that. But I was so frightened that I'm going to cause this unstable, narcissistic husband to take his own life, because that's what his dad did when his mum divorced him. So I was terrified that, because I was younger, I was terrified that he's going to not be able to handle this. I can see he can't handle anything, every little tiny bit of, like, if something tiny happens, like, oh, the council tax, you didn't pay that bill, so they're gonna, you might get fined, you better pay it. Instead of him just going, oh, okay, yeah, I'll pay it now, he'll be freaking out like, oh my God, they're going to fine me. Oh my God, and having a nervous breakdown over nonsense, And I'm like, wow, how have you survived when you can't even just react to something normally? Like, so weird. So what I mean is that there's a lot of things where I prayed for, like, oh, please get me out of here, when I could have got myself out of there. But I was holding on to guilt about hurting other people, because I knew how it felt to be hurt so much that I didn't even, as an empath, I didn't even want to make anyone feel bad or hurt. So I'm projecting onto him that my fear that, well, he can't handle a council tax bill being late, how's he going to handle me leaving him? When really I should have made it clear that, I mean, I did make it clear multiple times that his behaviour wasn't acceptable, but he didn't change because he couldn't change, because he couldn't change even if he wanted to, because people with narcissistic personality disorder can't change. The trauma they suffered as children broke their mind, it split them, and they couldn't change even if they want to. So I've come to a really important space of having compassion for the child they were that experienced the abuse, but not for the monster they became. So I don't have forgiveness or compassion for the monster they became that hurt me and others and laughed at people's pain, because why are you laughing at people's pain when it was your pain that split you? But so that's what I got to work on. And I don't know how long I'm gonna be on this planet, and many days I really don't want to be here. Just seeing all the abuse and the evil in the world, it makes me so ill. It makes me feel physically sick. Especially being an empath, I can feel the world's negativity. And it's like, if I watch the news, and like recently there was this poor woman about 32 years old. She went to the Notting Hill Carnival in London to just take her 3-year-old for a nice day out, watch the beautiful parade. Next thing she knows, someone's attacking someone with a knife, like a mob of men attacking a man. She ran in front of the man to protect him, hoping that they wouldn't hurt her because she's a woman with a baby. They stabbed her and killed her. Now her baby has no mum. This is the kind of sick thing that makes me not want to be here. Now, people might say, well, why would you want to leave? Why would you want to take yourself out of here because of her? Isn't that her family's grief? Why do you want to leave because of that? But the evil of it, that the monster who took her life did not care about her life. It was worth nothing to him, and he's wandering around because the police haven't caught him. That makes me feel sick to the point where I don't want to be anywhere where that kind of evil exists. So that's how I feel nearly every day. Is just that it's not like, oh, I want to kill myself because I'm a little depressed. No, I have all that psychological pain of my own, childhood abuse, adult abuse, whatever, being hard, all these painful things that I have, knowing that, it is painful. Then knowing that the world is evil, that is painful to me. And knowing that while we're down here, it is nothing but suffering to a certain extent for most people. And that sometimes is overwhelming. And I don't know if anyone else ever feels that way. And like I said, I'm not encouraging anyone to take their own life. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just being honest and truthful about how I feel as an empath when I feel all this misery and sadness. It's on top of my own misery and sadness, and it's sometimes too much. So I try and try and try to look for the good in the world, but sometimes it's just it feels impossible to see sometimes. But yeah, I'm so sad for that poor woman's family. But at the same time, I know that she has gone home, she is in the spirit world, she will be able to watch over her child and be a guardian angel of her child. But I feel just, for the people left behind who mourn her, who loved her, who wanted her here, their lives will never be the same. And their life will be dramatically affected by that. But then the difficult thing to understand, this is when I find it hard to understand why we choose these things. When I hear these sad stories, people's mums being hurt, people's dads being hurt, or killed, or whatever, like people's kids being killed. When I hear all these terrible stories, that's when I find it hard to believe that we chose them. I'm like, well, why would we choose this? Why would she choose to be taken away from her child? And but then is through that pain and that grief, is that 3-year-old going to grow up and do something positive and useful in the world? Maybe that child will grow up and help fight knife crime. Maybe that child will grow up and their destiny is something that was shaped by that terrible event, possibly. That's the only way I can look at it. As it's not a positive, obviously, but what I mean is, it's the ripple effect of, okay, this negative, awful, terrible thing happened, but if all have agreed to this situation, everyone had to play their part in it, even the evil people. And I'm not on the side of any evil, but I'm just saying that, okay, if I write a play, right, this is an example. trying to make it more easier to understand what I'm saying. If I write a play, just like a Shakespeare play, I need a villain, I need a murderer, I need a queen, I need a king, I need, children to play the school kids, I need this person to play the bus driver. I need, like, if we've all agreed and I say, well, I'll be the queen, someone says, I'll be the murderer, I'll be, if they're not actually evil, they have a role to play, which we've all agreed on. And it is really hard because when you're down here, we aren't given these memories. We don't know that we've agreed to this. We're just we're a spiritual being forced into this human meat puppet body, and we've not been given any help or memories or anything. So we just are born and are living through these terrible, terrible things. And like I said, that's the only way I can try and cope with it, is to see it the way I just described. Otherwise I don't think I could cope. It's like, okay, that didn't work. Say if I say with my marriage, okay, that didn't work because it wasn't meant to work. When you met the person who was your soulmate, yes, you were romantically involved, but he wasn't meant to stay in your life forever, or until you, or death till you part. He was supposed to come in, ignite all this love, but then betray you. That was his role. You agreed to this. You can't change it. It changed you because of the pain and whatever, but this is, if you've agreed to the events, it's like the bit I don't understand is that, do we know how we're gonna react to the events? Maybe that's the bit that free will comes in. We don't know how we're gonna react to the events, and maybe they didn't know when they made the agreement to come down here how they were going to react to the events. Maybe there was a destiny and a fate saying, okay, well, when your soulmate left you, you were supposed to do this. This is what we agreed, or this is what you thought you would do, but your free will took you this other way and you took your own life. And then that meant you came back, you had to come back and be born into another life in order to enact the same things with another person in another body, in order for you to learn the lesson, because you cut your journey short because your free will meant you had the option to either go in the strong direction or just become so overwhelmed that you couldn't take it anymore, the pain, the grief, the loss, whatever happened to you. So I hope I'm making sense. It was meant to be my final thought like half an hour ago. Probably I talk too much. Anyway, I'm not laughing at anyone's pain or misery. Like I said, it's just the way I talk. Part of London I'm from, we all talk like that. We try and like lighten our voice when we're talking about horrible stuff. But it sounds weird. It sounds like we're laughing at bad stuff when we're not. Well, I'm not. I can't speak for anyone else. See, I did it again. I didn't even know I was going to do that. But yeah, it's weird because, like I said, if we have free will, and yet there is a fate set out for us and a destiny set out for us, that whether you believe we chose it or not, say if it's there, and I know it's there, but I'm talking about people who don't believe it. Say if it's there, hypothetically, for people who don't believe, if you do have free will and the choice is to fight back against difficulties or just let it overwhelm you, I at least will try and fight. I'm not saying it's easy, because there are many moments, as recent as last week, where something happened to me and I just was like, that's it, I can't take it anymore. This is too much. These bad things keep happening, way too much. But then I sat with the pain. I worked through the pain. I wrote some songs, some poems. I wrote in a diary. I wrote how I felt, and then a week later, I'm strong again. You see? So had I gave in to the pain in that second, in that moment, in that minute, then I wouldn't be here right now talking to you guys. So it can literally be a daily fight, a weekly fight, take it hour by hour, day by day. It's not going to be easy, but if you can just take it hour by hour, day by day, strengthening yourself, trying to get, to that point where you can cope, where you can go on. I will survive another day. I will, don't think too far ahead, like, oh well, I don't have loads of family, so Christmas is going to be rubbish, or Thanksgiving is going to be rubbish because, everyone else has got a big house and a lovely family. None of those things matter. All those people throwing money around who wouldn't even buy a homeless person a sandwich, like, they're crap. Like, I hate people like that. Like, why is there so many people with so much money and you won't help anyone? Like, it's like the greedy ones are the richest ones are the greediest people, which is weird. But yet, if I had nothing, I was still, get hold of, if I once I get hold of something, I'll be willing to share it with everyone. That's the difference. Like, and then also, with another thing that was weird is that I asked these questions, like, well, why are there some people who have tons of money? Like, why are there people who, if we've all chosen our lives, why can they choose a life where they're a billionaire? And things like that kind of confuse me sometimes, where, okay, was it their free will allowed them to become a billionaire? Was it just they got lucky? Like, and I can't answer that, because it could have been that they did pick that life, and in that life there were lessons they were going to learn. They just happened to have money for the first part of their life, but then maybe they're going to lose it and become bankrupt and then become homeless, and then sit next to the same man they used to step over when they were rich, and then that man will share food with them, and they'll feel so bad, like, oh my gosh, when I was rich, I wouldn't even look at you, and now you have nothing and you're sharing your nothing with me. Well, obviously something, you have nothing, but when you had some food that you should have every right to keep to yourself, you shared it with me, and yet I didn't deserve that kindness, but you still gave it to me. And then it changes them, and then if they get back their money, then they might do something positive with it, you know. But yeah, I mean, we do have free will, and we can sometimes, break the path of our fate. But if there's something very, very important that must take place, no matter how many times you avoid it, or somehow your free will took you off the path, towers will fall. Metaphorically, we're using the tower from the tarot deck. People say, the tower's going to fall. Events will happen that will force you back onto that track, or force you back in the other direction. Like, I've had this happen to me, where I've moved to different cities, and something will happen that forces me to go back to the city I was supposed to meet someone in, that I was destined to meet someone in. So I'll be like, well, it's cheaper to rent a whole house in this city. Why didn't I just stay here? But then why am I going to go to this city where it's so expensive? I can't even afford one room. But then you end up going back to that place where it's overly expensive, or you really hate the town, or you don't like it, but you end up there somehow because of circumstances. And then you come across someone who you knew in a past life, who had agreed to be here with you. This is how you meet. Or you go on the internet and you come across someone, because you can't be in the same country or the same city or whatever. This is the only way they could make sure you met, because you don't have the memory of, oh, make sure that so-and-so who has agreed to be in my life meets me at this time, at this day, in this country. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but it's a lot to take in, and it's hard to understand, because even half the time, even though I know it's all real, I find it hard to comprehend and understand too. So, but yeah, I'm going to finish up now, and I just wish everyone so much peace and protection and love and light, and I really, really pray that people keep strong, just take it day by day. Life is hard, and like I said, with all these things that, if it's destined to happen in our life, the good and the bad, all we can do is try to work out our lessons, to learn from hard situations, to try and get stronger from them, turn our pain into power, and also help others. That's really important, to go out into the world, do no harm, help others, show kindness, show compassion. And even though I'm not at that point to forgive those who have hurt me, but I am trying. You know, it's not that I've said I'll never ever try. You know, there was a point when I thought I would never ever even attempt or think about it. It was a no-go. But now I got to a point where I can have compassion, you know, that some people's childhood had turned them into a monster. I can have compassion for the child who was abused, because I know what that feels like to be a child, powerless child in a terrible situation. But yeah, I definitely encourage people to work on themselves, improve yourself. It's really important to admit when you're wrong, when you're doing things that hurt others. You need to look at why you're doing these things. It could all lead back to childhood, your parents, and if you can get counseling or even just go to free support groups in your area, just look things up, use the internet. There's so many resources out there that you can use, you know, and then ask for strength, pray for strength, you know, ask God and his angels to intervene in your life and give you that knowledge and, you know, the downloads of things and ideas that can help you improve your journey and help you pass your tests. You know, don't just sit and wallow in self-pity and pain. And I'm not saying that it's easy to get out of grief and pain, of course not, but we have to try. A lot of people just give up and say, well, why should I bother? But if you're still here, if you're not taking yourself out of here by your own hand, why not try while you're here, you know? And yeah, so God bless everyone, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.